My name is Madison Johnson, and I'm 32 years old. The $1.2 million house my grandmother left me was supposed to be my safe haven. Instead, it became the backdrop for the deepest betrayal I ever faced. My father forgot to end the call one day. "She's just a burden," he told my mother, not realizing I heard every word. They were enjoying Asia, funded by me, while scheming to claim my home. So, I made a choice. When they returned, grinning with trinkets, their key no longer worked. The house was bare. My note simply read, "Surprise. A burden did this." Before I dive into how it all went down, let me know where you're reading from in the comments. And hit like and subscribe if you've ever had to stand up to family who took you for granted. Growing up, cash was always short in our home. My parents, James and Linda Johnson, juggled multiple jobs to keep our tiny rented apartment and food on the table. Dad worked construction, always bitter about missed chances. Mom took on part-time cashier gigs. Despite their money struggles, they made sure I knew every cent spent on me was a cent they couldn't use. My grandmother, Margaret, was different. While my parents saw only limits, Grandma Margaret saw my potential. She'd built a property empire from nothing after my grandfather passed early. "Madison," she'd say during weekends at her cozy ranch-style home, "never let anyone define your worth. You set that yourself." Those visits were my escape. Her house, full of warm quilts and charm, felt like freedom. The backyard, where we tended roses, was my haven. Unlike the tense air at my parents' place, Grandma's was peace. When I hit 18, she helped me secure college scholarships and loans. My parents called college showing off and wouldn't chip in a penny. "College is for folks who think they're above others," Dad would grumble, though I later found out he'd been rejected himself. I worked 3 jobs through college, earning a marketing degree and landing a job at a property firm. Grandma glowed with pride at my graduation, while my parents griped about the traffic. Then came the day that changed it all. Grandma Margaret died suddenly of a stroke when I was 28. I was crushed. She'd been my rock, my safe space. At her will reading, everyone was stunned, except maybe me, when her lawyer said she'd left her house to me, not my parents. The property at 4721 Willow Lane, valued at roughly $1.1 million, I leave to my granddaughter, Madison Johnson, who has shown the grit and responsibility to value it, the lawyer read as my parents' faces soured. The will was clear, the house was mine alone, no strings attached. My parents got a small cash sum, which they burned through on a new truck and gadgets. From the moment the deed was mine, they called it the family home instead of Madison's house. Casual remarks about when we redo the bathroom turned into full remodel plans they made without asking me. I covered every bill, tax, and repair. "We should swap out this flooring," Mom would say, eyeing the hardwood I'd just paid for. "I hate that blue in the den," Dad would add, ignoring that I'd chosen it to match my new couch. Despite my solid 6-figure income as a marketer, they treated me like a kid playing house. When I tried setting boundaries, they'd say, "Family doesn't need boundaries." But that only seemed to apply one way. After 4 years of this, my parents announced a 2-month Asia trip, their lifelong dream. They didn't mention how they'd pay for it. "We can tap the house's equity," Dad said casually over dinner. "You mean my house?" I asked, keeping my tone steady. "The house in my name alone." "Don't be greedy, Madison," Mom snapped. "It's the family home. Your grandmother would have wanted us all to share it." I refused a home equity loan but offered to cover some trip costs, knowing they couldn't afford it. Soon, I was bankrolling nearly everything: flights, hotels, spending cash, while they whined the hotels weren't fancy enough. The day before they left, I overheard Mom on the phone with her brother. "Of course, Madison's paying. It's the least she can do since we let her keep the house. Let me keep my own house, left to me by my grandmother." I should have seen the warning signs, but I still craved their approval. If I'd known what was coming, I might have changed the locks before they boarded their flight to Tokyo. It was a Wednesday afternoon in August when it all fell apart. My parents had been in Asia for 7 weeks, posting about Tokyo online. I was home after a long day of client meetings when I noticed the bathroom faucet dripping. With their return a few weeks away, I wanted it fixed. I needed to ask Dad where he'd stashed the warranty papers for the faucet he'd installed last year, one of his rare contributions. I called his international number, wading through the static of the overseas line. "Hello," Dad's voice came, faint and delayed. "Hey, Dad, quick question about the bathroom faucet warranty. Where's the paperwork? It's leaking." He sighed. "In the desk drawer, top left, under bathroom." "Can't this wait till we're back?" "It's damaging the vanity," I said, biting back frustration. "I need to call the company." "Fine," he muttered. "Your mom and I are heading to dinner, some spot near Shibuya." "Sounds nice. How's Tokyo?" I asked, trying to stay civil. Expensive, he snapped. Gotta go. Talk later. I heard rustling, like he'd pocketed the phone without hanging up. I was about to end the call when his voice came through, muffled, but clear. Who was that? Mom asked. Just Madison, whining about the house again, Dad replied, louder now, as if he'd pulled the phone out but thought the call was over. What now? Mom sounded irritated. Something about the faucet. All she does is complain about that house. I should have hung up, but I couldn't. My finger hovered over the end button, frozen. I don't get why your mother left her that house, Mom said. We're her parents. It should have been ours. When we're back, we need to talk retirement, Dad said. Madison needs to see that house is our future. My stomach sank. They were plotting. She's been a burden from the start, Dad went on, his tone sharp. All those years, school, clothes, everything. Now in her lap and thinks she earned it. A burden. The word hit like a punch. She's selfish, Mom agreed, but easy to guilt. Remember how fast she paid for this trip? Just mentioned family duty a few times. They laughed, a cruel sound I'd heard my whole life but now felt like a blade. Keep it her, Dad said. She'll sign the house over, or at least add us to the deed. She's desperate for our approval. I could barely breathe, my hand shaking so hard I nearly dropped the phone. I grabbed my other phone and started recording. What if she doesn't? Mom asked. She will, Dad said smugly. She's weak like that. If not, we bring up medical costs, nursing homes. Trust me, that house will be ours by next year. Worst case, Mom added, we're living there. She'd never kick out her parents. They laughed again. I felt sick. Speaking of, Dad said, when we're back, we're taking the main bedroom. It's dumb she has it when she's always working. Good call, Mom replied. And that lake house she's eyeing? Waste of money. If she's got cash, she should help us more. They kept talking, plotting ways to squeeze me for more money, more control, as they headed to dinner. I sat frozen, tears streaming down my face, every hope I had about my family crumbling. The call cut off after 20 minutes, leaving me in silence, still clutching the phone. The house I'd poured my heart into maintaining, the one Grandma Margaret entrusted to me, was just a prize to them. I was a tool, a burden to be used. Something inside me shattered, but something stronger, colder, sharper, took its place. I looked around my home, seeing their marks everywhere, Dad's worn-out chair in the best spot in the den, Mom's tacky vases replacing my decor, my own things pushed into corners of what was supposed to be my space. I wiped my tears, took a deep breath, and decided, if I was such a burden, it was time to free them of me for good. I called in sick to work for the next 4 days. I couldn't face clients with the chaos inside me. I replayed the recorded call endlessly, swinging between heartbreak and rage. How could the people meant to love me see me as a resource to drain? Once the shock faded, my marketing brain kicked in. I needed a plan, not emotions. Grandma Margaret didn't build her legacy on impulse, and neither would I. My first call was to Lisa Carter, a property lawyer I'd worked with on deals. I laid out the situation, sticking to facts. The house is fully in my name, I said. They've lived here nearly 5 years. Do they have any claim? Lisa was direct, just what I needed. No way, she said. You've paid all costs, hold clear title, and there's no co-ownership. Letting them live there doesn't give them rights. What about them being my parents? I asked. Legally irrelevant, she replied. You're an adult. You owe them nothing. It's your property to do with as you please. That eased some weight. Their stuff? I asked. Give them reasonable notice to collect it, Lisa advised. Document everything. Consider storage for their things. I scribbled notes, my mind already on the next step. I called my colleague, Ethan Brooks, a realtor who handled fast, quiet sales for messy situations like divorces. Over coffee the next day, I said, I need to sell my house fast, discreetly, and close to market value. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Hiding from the cops, Madison? My flat look killed the joke. Family issues, I said. No listings, no signs, no open houses, done in 7 weeks. Ethan whistled. Tight timeline. You'll take a price hit. How much? We crunched numbers. The house, now worth $1.2 million, might fetch $1.05 million for a quick, private sale. I can handle that, I sigh. I can handle that, I said. How soon can you start? I've got buyers looking for a place like this, he said. Private showings by next week. Good. House needs to be empty for them. That afternoon, I made a spreadsheet, listing every item in the house, mine, Grandma's, my parents', or unclear. If I couldn't prove something was mine, it went to their column. No gray areas. I planned logistics, a temporary place to live, movers for my stuff, storage for theirs, new bank accounts, new phone, new email, a clean break. I found a furnished rental 3 hours away in Pinewood. I opened accounts at a new bank, got a new phone number, and created an unguessable email. I gathered my documents, birth certificate, passport, deed, grandma's will, and locked them in a safe deposit box at my new bank. Each time doubt crept in, I replayed Dad's voice, "She's been a burden from the start." Resolve hardened sorting. Through Grandma's old papers, I found an unsent letter dated a month before her death. "My dearest Madison," it read. "I want you to know why I've made my choices. Your parents always expected handouts. I watched them waste every chance, never growing. But you, my dear, you've earned everything. You value work and money. I'm leaving you my home because you'll cherish it, build on it, not lean on it. Never doubt you deserve every good thing. I'm so proud of you." Tears fell, but her words felt like armor, as if she'd known this day would come. The next day, I booked movers for the following week and a storage unit in my parents' names, prepaid for 7 months, with details mailed to them. I updated my plan nightly, crossing off tasks. By day, I was methodical, by night, I crumbled. One evening, packing old photos, I found one of me as a kid on Dad's shoulders at a carnival, both of us laughing. For a second, I almost scrapped the plan. But his voice, a burden, snapped me back. The photo went into their box. By week 4, Ethan had shown the house to several buyers. 2 made offers, both below asking but within range. I took the higher one, $1.08 million, from a tech exec moving to Pinewood who could close fast. The sale would close in 3 weeks, my parents were due back 4 days later. Perfect. On closing day, I woke calm. Weeks of grief, anger, and doubt had settled into focus. I wore a sharp gray suit, my armor, to the title office. Ethan was there, chatting with the agent. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded. The buyers, David and Emily Carter, arrived on time, excited about the house. I kept it professional, skipping stories about the rose garden or morning light in the den. I just signed, here, there, again. When the agent handed me the check, $1.08 million minus mortgage and fees, relief washed over me. "Congrats," the agent said, shaking hands. Outside, Ethan checked in. "You okay?" "I will be," I said, smiling faintly. "Thanks, Ethan. Happy to help," he said. Still curious about the story. "Maybe one day," I replied, heading to meet the movers. The movers arrived at 1 p.m. sharp. I'd already packed my things, clearly labeled, separate from my parents' stuff. I watched as they loaded my furniture, boxes, and bags into a truck headed for my new rental in Pinewood. My parents' belongings got the same care but went to their storage unit, everything photographed and inventoried. I'd arranged for the storage access codes and payment details to be mailed to their hotel in Tokyo. As the movers worked, I walked through the house, checking every closet and drawer. In my parents' bedroom, I found a small box tucked deep in their closet. Inside were letters from Grandma Margaret to them, spanning years. I shouldn't have, but I read them. They detailed decades of their financial demands, manipulative ploys, and her growing frustration. "James," one letter began, "this is the last time I'll bail you out without a repayment plan. Your constant asks are hurting us, and I worry about Madison." Another, from a year before her death, "I'm troubled by your assumption my home will be yours. I've earned everything I have, and I'll leave it to those who'll respect it. Make your own plans." I put the letters back, adding the box to their storage pile. Grandma had seen their true colors long before I did. By late afternoon, both trucks were gone. The house stood empty, my footsteps echoing on the bare floors. Without furniture, photos, or traces of us, it was just a shell, beautiful, valuable, but no longer mine. I walked through each room one last time: the kitchen where I'd made pies with Grandma, the den where we'd laughed over old TV shows, the rose garden where she taught me to care for living things. "I hope you get it," I whispered, maybe to her, maybe to the house. I left my note on the kitchen counter, impossible to miss. Surprise. A burden did this. I took a final look, locked the front door, dropped the keys through the mail slot, and drove off without a backward glance. On the highway to Pinewood, a strange feeling hit me: freedom. For the first time, I was choosing myself, unweighed by family duty or the need for approval. The burden wasn't theirs to lift. It was mine, and I'd set it down. My new apartment in Pinewood was basic, a furnished 1-bedroom in a sleek complex with a gym I'd probably never use. But it was mine, free of history or expectations. The first few days were a whirlwind of unpacking essentials, setting up a new laptop with tight security, and telling my office I was taking a 3-week break for personal reasons. I didn't elaborate. I settled into a routine: coffee on the balcony overlooking a small lake, afternoons researching new places to settle permanently, evenings with takeout and TV to quiet my mind. I checked my old email and voicemail once daily, never replying. Nothing from my parents yet, they were still soaking up Asia, clueless about the storm waiting. One evening, my phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. My heart raced until I saw it was just a delivery alert. Still, it showed how on edge I was, bracing for their reaction when they got back. To distract myself, I called Anna Reed, a college friend I'd drifted from because my parents disapproved of her reckless life, meaning she went to art shows and dated now and then. Madison Johnson, is that you? She said, thrilled. It's been, what, 4 years? Something like that, I said. Been busy. Still chasing your parents' approval? Her bluntness made me laugh, a rare sound lately. Actually, I'm done with that. We met for dinner at a diner halfway between Pinewood and her town. Over burgers and wine, I spilled everything: the inheritance, the overheard call, the sale, my vanishing act. Damn, Madison, she said when I finished. That's the most heartbreaking and badass thing I've heard. You're a legend. I'm not sure it was right, I admitted. They were plotting to take your house while living there for free and making you pay for their trip, she said. You were too kind with the storage unit. Her words eased the knot in my chest. Maybe I hadn't overreacted. The next day, I booked a session with Dr. Laura Bennett, a therapist specializing in family issues, for the following week. I needed to unpack not just this betrayal but a lifetime of love that came with strings. 11 days after the sale closed, my old phone lit up with notifications, texts, voicemails, emails, all from my parents. They'd returned and found the truth. The first voicemail: Madison, what's going on? Our key doesn't work. Call us now. Dad sounded annoyed, not worried. An hour later: Madison Marie Johnson, this isn't a game. Where are you? Why's the house empty? Now he was mad. Mom's next: Madison, sweetie, we're so worried. Please call to let us know you're okay. Her fake concern was polished. Texts followed the same arc: confusion, demands, threats, crocodile tears. The last voicemail: near midnight, we saw your note. I don't know what you think you heard, but you've screwed up big time. That's our home too. You had no right to sell it. We're calling a lawyer tomorrow. I saved everything but didn't respond. Let them try a lawyer. The house was mine to sell, true to their word. My parents showed up at my marketing firm the next morning, causing a scene just as I'd expected. My coworker, Claire, texted me, your parents are here, flipping out. Boss told them you're on leave and kicked them out when they wouldn't go. You okay? I replied, family mess. I'll explain later. Thanks for the heads up. Later, my boss, Karen, called. Madison, I don't know what's going on with your folks, but they were yelling about you selling their house illegally. I took a breath. It was my house? Left to me by my grandmother. I let them live there, but they were scheming to take it. So, yeah, I sold it, all legal. Sorry they brought this to work. After a pause, she said, got it. They're banned from the office. Take the time you need, and let me know if we can help. Her support lifted another weight. I'd feared professional fallout, but I had more allies than I thought. Over the next few days, my parents tried every trick to reach me, calling mutual friends, distant cousins, even my college alumni group. Each attempt hardened my resolve. 3 weeks after their return, they got my new email, probably from a clueless old neighbor, and sent a long message spinning their version. I'd misheard a private talk, overreacted, and betrayed them horribly. They'd forgive me if I used the sale money to buy a new house for us all to share. The nerve was almost impressive. I didn't reply, just forwarded it to Lisa, my lawyer, who confirmed again that I was legally clear and advised keeping my distance. As weeks passed, I started rebuilding. I went back to work, diving into marketing projects, and kept up therapy with Dr. Bennett. I found a cozy townhouse to buy in Pinewood, smaller than Grandma's but all mine. One night, arranging books in my new place, I found an old photo album. Inside were shots of family trips, holidays, birthdays, moments that once felt warm but now seemed fake, knowing the truth behind their smiles. I closed it and tucked it in a closet. Maybe I'd look again someday, but not now. I dodged my parents for nearly 4 months, switching up routines, shopping at new stores, staying alert. A confrontation was coming, though. I didn't expect how it'd go down. My old neighbor, Jenny Lynn, called one Tuesday. Madison, your parents are at the house. I know it's not yours anymore, but they're parked outside, staring at it. The new owners are out of town, so they don't know yet. I thanked her and called David Carter, the buyer, to warn him. He was grateful and said he'd notify his security company. That evening, an unknown number rang. Against my gut, I answered. Madison, Dad's voice, tight with rage. Meet us tomorrow, Brewhaven on Oak Street, 10 a.m. If you don't, we're hitting your office again, and we won't leave quietly. He hung up before I could speak. I called Lisa. They're threatening my workplace if I don't meet. You don't have to, she said. We can get a restraining order for this. I thought it over but decided, no, I'll face them, but on my terms. I arrived at Brewhaven, a busy downtown coffee shop, at 10:20 a.m., late enough to make a point, not so late they'd bail. I picked it because it was public, packed, and the owner was a client who'd back me if things got messy. My parents sat at a corner table, Mom's face tired, her usually neat hair messy. Dad's jaw was clenched, a warning sign from childhood. I approached, calm, in a sharp navy suit, my armor. James, Linda, I said, using their names instead of Mom and Dad. Mom flinched, Dad's face darkened. Sit, he ordered. I'm not here for orders, I said evenly. I came to clear the air, but this is on equal terms or not at all. I sat, placing my phone on the table. Really necessary? Mom asked, eyeing it. Given our history, yes, I said. I record all important meetings now. We're your parents, not a meeting, Dad snapped. Yet you threatened my job if I didn't show. That's more like blackmail than parenting. My bluntness threw them off. They were used to me caving, always chasing peace. What you did was unforgivable, Dad said finally. You stole our home. It was never yours, I shot back. It was mine, and I let you live there. A burden, you called it. Mom's eyes widened. What are you talking about? I played the recording. Their voices filled the space. She's been a burden from the start. All those years, school, everything. Now she has this property and thinks she earned it. I stopped. It. Mom was pale, Dad's face was red with anger. You recorded us, he stammered. That's illegal. Not when I'm part of the call. You didn't hang up, I said. But that's not the point. I heard what you really think of me. You misunderstood, Mom cut in. We were stressed, tired. On a luxury Asia trip I paid for. I said. Don't lie to me again. So you sold our house for revenge? Dad demanded. I sold my house because it'd never be mine with you there. And you're not homeless, you blew Grandma's cash on a truck instead of a place to live. Dad leaned in, voice low. We could sue. We lived there for years. Go ahead, I said calmly. I checked with a lawyer. You paid nothing. Your names aren't on the deed. You've got no case. Mom started crying, her old trick to guilt me. This time, I felt only distant pity. What do you want from us, Madison? Mom asked through her tears. An apology? Fine, we're sorry if you took it the wrong way. If I took it the wrong way, I repeated, stunned. That's not an apology. That's another dodge, and it's why I did what I did. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. I want you to own what you did, not just that call, but years of treating me like a bank account you could tap. I want you to get that your actions have consequences. And I want you to respect the boundaries I'm setting now. Which are what? Dad asked, his voice icy. No more financial help from me. You don't get my new address. I'll contact you only if I choose to. If you show up at my work or harass me, I'll take legal steps. So that's it? Mom's voice spiked, dramatic. After all we've done, you're cutting us off? After all you've done to me, I corrected. And yes, until you show real regret and change, this is it. Dad stood, his chair scraping loudly, drawing eyes from nearby tables. You ungrateful little, James, Mom grabbed his arm, pulling him back down. He sat, fuming. You think you're above us now, with your marketing job and fancy degree, he spat. But you wouldn't have any of it without us. Raising you. You're right, I said, catching them off guard. I wouldn't be me without you. Every jab, every conditional hug, every time you made me feel less than, it showed me who I don't want to be. So, in a way, I owe you for that. Mom's tears stopped, her face blank with shock. Dad looked like I'd punched him. I stood, grabbing my purse and phone. Your stuff's in a storage unit, paid for 7 months. The details were sent to your Tokyo hotel, but I can text them again if you need. That's it? That's all you've got to say? Mom's voice was small. I looked at them, really looked, seeing them not as the looming figures of my childhood, or the schemers of my adulthood, but as flawed people who never learned to love without strings. I hope you find peace, I said. I hope you figure out what makes you treat people who care about you like this. But I'm done being your pawn. I walked out, feeling the weight of stairs but standing taller than ever. Outside, the cool fall air hit me, and something new settled in, not anger, not pain, but calm. 7 months later, I was settled in Pinewood. I'd bought a charming townhouse, a fresh start about 3 hours from my old life. It was close enough for work connections but far enough to feel new. My home was mine, decorated to my taste, clean lines, bright colors, no heavy relics of the past. Work was thriving. The move reignited my love for marketing, especially helping first-time homebuyers navigate their purchases. It felt good to guide them through the maze of contracts, making sure they understood every step. "You explain things like you actually care," one couple told me after closing. "Like you want us to get it, not just sign." "Everyone should know what they're agreeing to," I said, thinking how my story might have been different. If I'd seen through my parents sooner, therapy with Dr. Bennett was down to once a month. We'd moved past the raw betrayal to the deeper patterns of my family's dynamic. "You mentioned feeling guilty for maybe overreacting," she said in one session. "Can we dig into that?" I shifted, uneasy. "Sometimes I think I should have talked to them first, given them a chance to explain." "What would they have said?" she asked. "They'd have denied it, said I misheard, or blamed stress," I admitted. "Would that have changed what you heard?" "No," I said. "It'd just be another chance to twist things." She nodded. "What you faced was financial abuse, using money to control and manipulate. It's sneaky because it hides as family duty or parental care." The term hit hard. I'd never framed it that way, but it fit perfectly: their pressure to sign over the house, guilting me into funding their trip, making me feel bad for Grandma's gift. "Your response was self-protection," Dr. Bennett said. "You did what you needed to." That session shifted something. The last bits of guilt melted, replaced by clarity. I started researching financial abuse and found it was shockingly common, especially in families with few resources to help. An idea sparked. 3 weeks later, I pitched my boss, Carla Evans. "I want to run a workshop for first-time buyers, especially women, on spotting and stopping financial manipulation in big purchases." Carla listened as I laid out the plan. "This isn't just about property deals," I said. "It's about empowering people to make choices without pressure from family, partners, or shady agents." "It's smart," she said. "Clients often get pushed into bad decisions. If we can be the firm that educates and protects, that's a big win." With Carla's approval, I poured myself into building the workshop. What started as a simple talk grew into a full program: spotting manipulation tactics, setting financial boundaries, and making informed choices. I named it Grounded Choices: Navigating Finances Without Pressure. We launched it on a Saturday, expecting maybe 15 people. Over 40 showed up. The room buzzed with stories: parents pushing bad investments, partners undermining budgets, friends guilting others into loans. Each tale echoed my own, cementing that this work mattered. People lingered after, sharing more, thanking me for giving them tools to stand firm. One woman, teary-eyed, said, "I wish I'd heard this before my dad talked me into a loan I'm still paying off." Her words stuck with me, fueling my drive. A local magazine, Pinewood Living, reached out for an interview after our second workshop. Titled Madison Johnson's Fight for Financial Freedom, the piece brought a flood of interest. Through it, I reconnected with Grandma Margaret's sister, Aunt Clara, whom I hadn't seen since the funeral. Over coffee, she said, "Madison, Margaret would be bursting with pride. She faced the same nonsense with your father, always expecting handouts, just like his dad before him." "I didn't know," I admitted. "She kept family drama quiet." Clara nodded. "She saw herself in you, your hustle, your heart. That's why she left you the house, not James. She knew you'd build on it, not lean on it." Her words mirrored Grandma's letter, grounding me further. "Heard from your parents lately?" she asked gently. "Not since our showdown," I said. "A few emails, but nothing showing they've owned up to anything." Clara sighed. "James never took responsibility, even as a kid." "I'm sorry, Madison. You deserved better." "I'm coming to terms with it," I said, realizing it was true. I can't change them, but I can use this to help others and build my own life. On the 1-year anniversary of selling the house, I took a day off and drove to the cemetery where Grandma Margaret was buried. I brought her favorite flowers, yellow daisies, and sat by her headstone. "I think I get it now," I said quietly. "What you tried to teach me about valuing myself, standing tall, and spotting love that comes with too many strings. I wish we had more time, but I'm so grateful for what you gave me." Sitting there, I reflected on the past year. The raw pain of betrayal had softened into acceptance. My parents were who they were, their actions showed their flaws, not mine. The real burden wasn't being their daughter, it was the endless chase for love that should have been unconditional. Letting that go brought a freedom I never knew I could feel. My phone buzzed with a text from Anna. "Still good for dinner? The crew's pumped to see you." I smiled, confirming. The crew was my new chosen family, friends I'd reconnected with or met in Pinewood. They accepted me as is, supported without keeping score. That's what real connection felt like. What I'd always deserved. As I drove home, I thought about the note I left. Surprise. A burden did this. Back then, it was a bitter jab, reclaiming Dad's cruel word. Now, I saw it differently. The heaviest burdens are the ones we put on ourselves, trying to be perfect enough, pleasing enough, to earn love that should be ours by right. Dropping that weight was my greatest act of freedom. That night, over dinner with Anna and the crew, I raised a glass in a quiet toast to Grandma Margaret, to my journey, and to the woman I was becoming, unburdened, uncompromised, free. Their laughter and warmth filled the gaps my parents left. Later, as I scrolled through comments on a video I'd posted about the workshop, I saw stories of others who'd faced similar betrayals. One wrote, "I cut off my sister after she tried to guilt me into giving her my savings. Your story gave me strength." Another, "My parents expected me to fund their retirement. Setting boundaries was hard but worth it." Each comment was a reminder, I wasn't alone, and my work was helping others break free. Back at my townhouse, I started drafting a new workshop module on recognizing financial abuse early. I added real-life examples from my research and anonymized stories from attendees. The next session, 6 weeks later, drew an even bigger crowd. A young man approached me after, saying, "I almost signed my house over to my mom because she said I owed her for raising me. Your talk stopped me." His gratitude hit deep. This was bigger than my story, it was about giving people tools to protect themselves. Carla, my boss, pulled me aside after. "This program's a game changer, Madison. We're getting calls from other firms wanting to partner. You're building something big." Her words sparked an idea. What if we took this beyond Pinewood? A series of workshops, maybe online, to reach more people stuck in manipulative family dynamics. Therapy with Dr. Bennett kept me grounded. In one session, she asked, "How do you feel about your parents now, after a year?" I thought hard. I don't hate them anymore. I pity them, I guess. They're stuck in their own mess. And I can't fix it. But I'm done carrying their baggage. She smiled. "That's growth, Madison. You've reclaimed your power." She was right. Every step, selling the house, confronting them, building this new life, was me taking back control. I started reaching out to local nonprofits, offering free sessions for their clients. One organization, focused on women's financial literacy, asked me to join their board. I said yes, excited to expand the mission. A few months later, Aunt Clara sent me a letter she'd found among Grandma's things, written to me but never mailed. "Madison, my fierce girl," it read. "If you're reading this, I'm gone, but know this, you're enough, always have been. Don't let anyone, family or otherwise, make you doubt that. Use what I've given you to soar." I cried reading it, but they were healing tears. Grandma's faith in me was the foundation I was building on, not just with the house but with this work, this life. As I hung a photo of us in my townhouse, her smiling in her rose garden, me at 10 holding a daisy, I felt her with me, cheering me on. 18 months after selling Grandma Margaret's house, I was thriving in Pinewood. My townhouse was my sanctuary, filled with light and colors that lifted my spirit, teal cushions, a sunny yellow rug, no echoes of the past. Work was better than ever. My workshops on financial autonomy had become a cornerstone of our firm's brand, drawing clients who valued transparency. I'd expanded the program, now called Grounded Choices, into a series, with online sessions reaching people beyond Pinewood. The feedback was humbling, stories of folks breaking free from manipulative relatives or partners, empowered to make their own calls. One email from a single mom read, "Your workshop stopped me from signing over my savings to my brother. I'm finally putting my kids first." Moments like that made every late-night planning worth it. Therapy with Dr. Laura Bennett had tapered to monthly check-ins. We focused less on my parents now and more on how I was shaping my future. "You've built a life that reflects your values," she said in one session. "How does that feel?" "Like I'm finally me," I replied. "Not someone's daughter or ATM, just Madison." She smiled. "That's a powerful shift. You're not just surviving, you're creating." She was right. Every choice, from my home's decor to the workshops, felt like a step toward the woman I wanted to be. I'd started mentoring younger colleagues at the firm, sharing what I'd learned about navigating tricky family dynamics in business. One intern, Mia, told me, "You make it okay to say no to clients who push too hard." I've never seen that before. Her words reminded me how far I'd come from the girl who'd let her parents walk all over her. My parents hadn't reached out since our coffee shop showdown, except for one email 6 months back, forwarded by a cousin they'd roped into their drama. It was the same old script. I'd misunderstood their intentions, betrayed them, but they'd graciously forgive me if I bought a new house for us to share. I didn't reply, just sent it to Lisa Carter, my lawyer, who said, "They've got nothing. Keep living your life." Their silence since then was a relief, but I stayed cautious, using new routines and private accounts to keep my distance. Aunt Clara, Grandma's sister, became my anchor instead. We met monthly for lunch, swapping stories about Grandma's fierce spirit. She'd love what you're doing, Clara said once, over sandwiches. Those workshops? That's her legacy in you, helping people stand tall. Her words felt like a hug from Grandma herself. One spring afternoon, I got a call from Jenny Lynn, my old neighbor. Madison, I hate to bother you, but your parents are back at the house again. Parked out front, just sitting there. The Carters are home this time, and they're not happy. My stomach tightened, but I stayed calm. Thanks, Jenny. I'll handle it. I called David Carter, the house's new owner, to apologize and update him. They're just staring at the place, he said, frustrated. My security company's on alert, but this is creepy. I agreed and promised to address it. That evening, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. I hesitated but answered. Madison, Dad's voice, sharp and cold. We need to talk. Tomorrow, Brewhaven, 9 a.m. No games, or we're going to your firm again. He hung up before I could respond. I called Lisa immediately. They're at it again, threatening my workplace. You don't owe them a meeting, she said. We can push for a restraining order now. I considered it but decided, I'll go, but on my ground. I need to end this. I arrived at Brewhaven at 9:15, deliberately late, in a crisp black blazer, my armor. The place was bustling, the owner nodding at me from behind the counter. My parents sat in the same corner as last time, Mom's face pinched, Dad's jaw tight. I approached, calm. James, Linda, I said, skipping Mom and Dad. Mom's eyes flickered with hurt, Dad's narrowed. Sit, he barked. I'm here to talk, not take orders, I said, sitting and setting my phone on the table. Recording again? Mom asked, voice sharp. Always, I said. Keeps things clear. Dad scoffed. You've turned into someone we don't even know. Good, I shot back. The person you knew let you use her. That's over. They flinched, not used to this version of me. You sold our home, Dad said, voice low. Left us with nothing. It was my home, I corrected. I let you live there, rent-free, while you planned to take it. I heard you, called me a burden, plotted to guilt me into signing it over. I played the recording again, their voices cutting through. She's been a burden from the start. She'll sign it over, she's weak like that. Mom paled. Dad's face reddened. You had no right to record that, he growled. I was on the call, I said. It's legal, and it showed me the truth. You've ruined us, Mom said, tears starting, her old trick. We're struggling because of you. You're struggling because you spent Grandma's money on a truck instead of a plan, I said. I paid for your Asia trip, gave you a free place to live, and you still saw me as a tool. Dad leaned forward. We could sue. We lived there 5 years. Try it, I said. My lawyer's ready. You paid nothing, your names aren't on the deed. You'll lose. Mom's tears turned to sobs, but I felt only a cold clarity. What do you want? She asked. I want you to own what you did, years of using me, making me feel I owed you my life. I want you to respect that I'm done. No money, no contact, no showing up at my job. If you push, I'll get a restraining order. Dad stood, chair scraping. You think you're so high and mighty now. No, I said, standing too. I just know my worth, and it's not your ATM. I walked out, head high, their silence heavy behind me. Back home, I added a new workshop module on enforcing boundaries after financial abuse. The next session drew 50 people, their stories mirroring mine. One woman said, I stopped my dad from guilting me into a bad investment. Your story saved me. That night, I toasted to Grandma Margaret, to the freedom I'd claimed, and to the people I was helping find theirs. If you've ever had to cut ties to protect yourself, share your story below. Like, subscribe, and pass this on to someone who needs to hear it's okay to choose themselves. 2 years after selling Grandma Margaret's house, I was fully rooted in Pinewood. My townhouse was my haven, with its clean lines, vibrant art, and no trace of my parents' influence. I'd painted the walls in soft greens and hung photos of new memories, trips with friends, workshop crowds, a selfie with Aunt Clara at a local festival. My career was soaring. The grounded choices workshops had grown into a regional program, with partnerships from nonprofits and real estate firms across 3 states. We'd gone virtual, too, reaching people stuck in toxic financial situations worldwide. Attendees' stories kept pouring in: a young man who refused his sister's demand for half his inheritance, a woman who left a controlling partner guilting her into debt. Each one felt like a victory, not just for them but for me, proof I was turning my pain into purpose. Therapy with Dr. Laura Bennett was now every 6 weeks. We dug deep into my past, unraveling how my parents' conditional love shaped me. You've redefined family on your terms, she said in our last session. How does that feel? Like I'm finally home, I said. Not the house, but in myself. She nodded. You've built something solid, Madison. Not just the workshops, but your sense of worth. She was right. I'd found family in Anna, Clara, and my new crew, people who gave without strings. I'd also started mentoring at a local youth center, helping teens navigate family pressures. One girl, Lily, reminded me of younger me, eager to please, scared to say no. You don't owe anyone your dreams, I told her. Her shy smile felt like progress. My parents had gone quiet since our last Brewhaven clash, except for one letter sent through a mutual friend 9 months ago. It was their usual spin. I'd overreacted, they were devastated, but they'd welcome me back if I'd share the sale proceeds for a family home. I didn't respond, just forwarded it to Lisa Carter, my lawyer, who laughed. They're grasping at straws. You're untouchable. I stayed vigilant, though, new locks, private accounts, careful routines. Clara kept me updated on their antics. They'd moved to a small apartment in Crestview, burning through their savings on flashy purchases. They haven't changed, she said over lunch. But you have, Madison. Margaret would be so proud. Her words echoed Grandma's letter, the one I kept framed in my office. You're enough, always have been. One chilly March morning, I got a text from Jenny Lynn, my old neighbor. Madison, your parents are back at the house. They knocked on the Carter's door, asking to see their old home. David sent them away, but they're still parked outside. My heart raced, but I stayed steady. I called David Carter to apologize. They're unsettling my kids, he said. I'm calling the police if they don't leave. Do what you need, I said. I'm sorry they're bothering you. That afternoon, my phone rang, an unknown number. I answered, braced. Madison, Dad's voice, low and tense. Meet us at Brewhaven, 8 a.m. tomorrow. We're not done. He hung up. I called Lisa. They're at it again, I said. Harassing the new owners and demanding a meeting. You don't have to go, she said. We've got enough for a restraining order. I'll meet them, I decided. One last time, to shut this down. I arrived at Brewhaven at 8:20, in a sharp charcoal suit, my armor. The coffee shop hummed with morning rush, the owner giving me a supportive nod. My parents sat at their usual corner table, Mom's face haggard, Dad's eyes hard. I approached, calm. James, Linda, I said, using their names. Mom's lips tightened, Dad's fists clenched. Sit, he growled. I'm here to talk, not obey, I said, sitting and placing my phone on the table. Recording? Mom asked, bitter. Always, I said. Keeps things honest. Dad leaned in. You've destroyed us. No home, scraping by, because of you. You had a home, I said. Mine, rent-free, until you planned to steal it. You called me a burden while I paid for your Asia trip. I played the recording again. She's been a burden. She'll sign it over, she's weak. Mom's eyes dropped, Dad's face flushed. That was private, he snapped. And I was on the call, I said. It's legal, and it showed me who you are. Mom's tears started, predictable. We're your parents. How could you leave us like this? You left me no choice, I said. Years of treating me like a resource, not a daughter. I heard you plotting to take my house, guilt me into more. I'm done. Dad's voice dropped, threatening. We'll sue. We lived there 5 years. You've got no case, I said. My lawyers checked. No rent, no deed, no rights. Waste your money if you want. Mom sobbed louder, drawing glances. What do you want, Madison? She asked. I want you to admit what you did, decades of manipulation, making me feel I owed you everything. I want you to respect that I'm out. No contact, no money, no showing up at my work or the Carter's house. Push me, and I'll get a restraining order. Dad stood, chair scraping. You're no daughter of ours. Good, I said, standing. I don't need to be. Your stuff's in storage, paid through next month. Details are with you. We're done. I walked out, their silence heavy, my steps light. Back in Pinewood, I poured my energy into grounded choices. We held our biggest workshop yet, 60 attendees, with stories that mirrored mine, parents demanding inheritances, siblings guilting loans. One man said, your program stopped me from giving my mom my retirement savings. I'm free now. That night, I toasted Grandma Margaret, my freedom, and the people I was helping find theirs. I'd turned betrayal into strength, building a life that was mine alone. If you've ever had to cut ties to save yourself, share below. Like, subscribe, and pass this to someone who needs to know it's okay to choose themselves. Thanks for reading my story.